Good morning. Good morning. Yes, today is, let's take a look. It is Saturday, October 19th, 2019, and the time is 8:59 a.m. I want to talk about some things that is just, it's like a puzzle. I woke up early this morning and I was playing videos while I was resting. I woke up like at 2:45 and just lying there, and then I turned on the video. YouTube videos. And one of the videos that I was watching was called Missing 411. When I upload this video, this audio that I'm doing now, I hope I remember to do a link to that. It's a documentary. 411 missing. Well, missing 411. Yeah, missing 411. And it discusses these missing children. See, I think everything that I'm going to talk about, or the things that I'm hearing in the media lately, this month, I'm extremely stressed. The news footage and everything about things going on this month is a really hectic month for me. It's a hectic year, period. And I know it's not just me feeling this way. It's the signs of the times. Well, I want to do this audio, and I think I want to have it like a connect the dots. So this is all part of, I think, things are connected. Well, anyway, now this missing 411 discuss these missing children. A toddler, a 2-year-old, a 10-year-old, and I think another one was a toddler too. There are 3 kids. And they were missing minutes. One kid, like the parents were walking at a campground in the west somewhere. I think it was Idaho. And it's a camping ground, absolutely beautiful, beautiful natural setting, mountains, pine trees. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And the kid turned around. The parents, you want to come with us, or you want to stay with Grandpa? And so the kid turned, and the grandfather saw the kid coming, and then the kid disappeared. And all these things, there was like a 10-minute period where they realized, hey, where's the kid? Or so, they started to become aware that no one has the kid. Some families, everybody assuming so-and-so is watching the kid, you know what I mean? And I think that's just what happened. But either way, in a 10-minute gap, they came back, the parents, I think, and they realized the kid is not there in this 10-minute gap, and they're frantically looking for the kid. Frantically looking. And, how far could a 2-year-old go? They can run quickly, but little spurts, and they get tired, and they get hungry, and they cry, They couldn't find this kid at all. And then, at one part of the documentary, which I thought was shocking and should be investigated, they mention about this priest, this Catholic priest who, early in the 1900s, he ventures out in that particular natural park, and he says this, to the fact that this is really a nice location, hey, I want to open up a church here and have boys come for boys. Hello out there. Now, why would a priest want to start a church or some type of Catholic institution and have a place for boys, young boys? Immediately, I said to myself, I mean, the place that was built, it looked like a Hansel and Gretel type of place. Cute church, really, really nice against the mountains and everything. It was gorgeous. And I'm thinking, it's in the middle of nowhere. And I don't think a lot of Catholics live in Idaho. You know, why would you want to isolate young boys in this place? So I'm starting to think, hey, there might be a connection between missing children. I mean, tons of them, and that the federal government doesn't want to keep like a database. I mean, they have information. Like, I think it's like every state has, documentation of its missing kids. But like as a central database, a federal database, they don't want to do. Something like that I heard. It didn't make sense. You got missing children. And then some of the body, two of the children were located and they were deceased. They found the remains. One of them, it was at a real far location, like where the child was missing. And then I think there was 9 miles from the spot where they found, I think they found some traces of the kid, and then 10 miles away from there was something else. It was something about the distance. But if you add up the mileage, 10 plus some, that's 19 miles. And the trousers, I hope I'm not getting the different kids mixed up, but like one of the kids, the pants were inside out. There was no blood. Like they thought maybe an animal, the first thing you think, an animal, a bear. There were no animal hairs, no blood, no tearing of anything. It just doesn't make sense. And so it seemed like that the kid was taken and then dropped in another location. And that it seems like all the kids that were missing in these type of national parks, similar type of thing, like the kid can't naturally just get to that location. The clothes one place of the kid, but the body in another place. And immediately I'm thinking this: the kid's abducted, and then messed with. But I'm thinking that church, and I'm thinking, I'm just going to say it. You have a church in the middle of nowhere, a Catholic church, because this priest just has such a love for young boys. And the church is still there now. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm thinking that, you have people and institutions that are so perverted. And they be doing these rituals, I believe, That's why it's out in the middle of nowhere. But you know what else they could have? Underground passageways. Remember the movie, there was another documentary, and it took place in Nebraska. And it was a boy sex ring for politicians. I kid you not. One of the guys was used, this black fellow, was used to bring the boy, and this guy was also homosexual. Again, someone could be a homosexual but not necessarily a pedophile. Okay, there's a difference. But either way, he was both. And he was used to bring the kids over to Nebraska, and then they would mess with them, and also like male prostitutes, and actually go into the White House for a tryst. Unbelievable. But either way, let me get back with these missing 411 and this Catholic Church. So yeah, but there are passages. I think that's why I mentioned that about the Nebraska and these Boytown, I think it's called. Boytown, same type of thing. Some church thing, and let's have this thing for boys. So same as this Catholic church in Idaho. They have passages, underground passages, that you go in the building, and you can go have these secret passages underground. You know what else they could have? They could have like satellite dishes, or they have these real savvy things now. They can make it look like a tree. Okay, again, this is a natural forest, trees. You just set up something and watch the camera, like they have tables where families go to have their lunch, whatever. They have these cameras, zoom in, and they have these underground things, and they could go underground near these campsites, abduct the kid, right? And no one knows any better, because it's like a split second. That's the only logic that I'm really thinking. There's no ghosts or anything like that. They're people with technologies, equipment, satellite. Again, the Catholic Church is one of the richest churches, if not the richest church. They have equipment. And they could be scouting for the ideal child to abduct. Some of them, this one case, it was towards the end of the movie, the documentary. Again, a toddler gets missing, just boom, missing. They found the kid alive. Like the kid was it was like smoky, like a fog. A fog. And then they see the child coming, and the child is completely naked. I didn't know how the child got over there. To me, it seems very simple. That sometimes the children might escape, and maybe the kid was naked, they were stripped, and then maybe the kid escaped and wandering around, and then they get found. People, it's like a ring. You have in this country what they call human trafficking, and I discussed about human trafficking before. Human trafficking today. Other videos that I've been watching, you have people trading, not trading, but they're getting children and then selling them. They're even doing this in Nigeria. I saw a movie on YouTube on Nigeria. I mean, it's shocking that you have people in Nigeria, they can't have kids, and they are abducting or taking children from, oh, okay, I remember. One young girl, a teen, gets pregnant, and they acted as if they wanted to help the girl, but actually they wanted to just take her kid. One of them, they said, oh, we'll educate the kid. We'll go to school. Yeah, the kid was born, and this service had said, oh, so we could foster the kid, we'll educate the kid. And so the parent thought, oh, okay, hey, you're willing to educate my child, because I can't afford to educate my child, but you bring the child back once it's finished, the education. They had adopted the kid out without the parent knowing. And they can't find the kid. So it seems like that it's international. So here that's a case in Nigeria. But you have children all over the world. They'll tell the lady, the new mom, they'll tell her one thing, and then they're taking them away. Or what about in Haiti? All these missing children. I mean, why not just do it legally, a legal adoption or force? I mean, you have those things, legal adoption services and foster care. But it goes deeper because it's about money, greed, and you have sex rings. And so they're taking these poor children. And again, it always seems like the same type. You have the Catholic churches. And why aren't they investigating that church that's in the middle of nowhere, that was formed because the guy wanted to have boys. He was very specific, boys. What are priests known for doing lately? Again, not all priests are pedophiles, but why is it that that's what you hear now? There's also, remember that guy, Jeffrey Epstein? I think now he's been dead now for about 2 months. I still watch on and off on Jeffrey Epstein. You have some real wonderful researchers that are still investigating this whole thing on Jeffrey Epstein. This one YouTuber was discussing about, connecting the dots, and like the Ghislaine Maxwell, the madam for Jeffrey Epstein, or the alleged madam of Jeffrey Epstein. Why didn't they arrest her from the very beginning 10 years ago? You had many women who were interviewed, many. And then now it took someone from, this newspaper from Miami, I think, this female reporter. And she brought it back on the scene, the whole case with Jeffrey Epstein. I forget the person's name. But she personally interviewed many of the women. And they had the same story, and they mentioned about Ghislaine Maxwell sexually violating them. And then when you investigate these people, where they came from, who the parents. And this Ghislaine Maxwell's father, very infamous guy, and he gets mysteriously killed years ago. And he was part of, as I said, Mossad and CIA. And what I'm leading up to is that you may have individuals and who their parents or who they're related to are involved in things. So I think it's a whole network, and they use their relatives in the same network. You only could hire or use who you know. And who do you know the best? Your family, your relatives. And he said one person connected to another person, connected to another person, and that some of them were involved with these private institutions. They hide behind they're concerned about the environment and the ocean, the fish, all these. I mean, yes, these are important, but unlikely people. Unlikely people. And it just seemed like, why are they located like certain areas they want that no trafficking, no what do you call it, fishing, for major fishers, to block it. And to me, this is what it sounds like. That they want to keep certain regions of the world free of outsiders, because it looks like that they want to traffic these children to these weird locations on this planet. And so if you have private fishers, I forget the term that they use, major companies that do import-exporting of fish, because that's the cover story. They don't want them there in the waters and contaminating it. But somehow you get people being sent there, being sent to Guam, all these faraway places. I think that they just want a free-for-all and send these kids to these remote locations, and maybe these locations have, what do you call it, like portals, vortexes, and they go and do these rituals. They know what type of kid they want in these rituals. And they like the Franklin cover story, with the Nebraska case of using these teenage boys, young boys, for male prostitution for the elite and rulers. Same thing. Jeffrey Epstein had an island in the Caribbean. And it seemed like all the people that connected to them seemed to have access to some of these locations. It is so weird. It is so weird. Look, remember the case with the Atlanta child killings? And that started in the late 70s, 1970s, into the early 80s. I was maybe 17, 18 years old when I first learned of it. I just entered college. And it was a major thing on the news. And they don't know the way, they pinned it on this one guy, and it was a movie made about him. And it was very convenient. Now, they only have some DNA link with 2 adults with this alleged murderer. 2 adults his DNA was tied to, but none of the children. It's like they wanted to cover up quickly, pin it on somebody. They made the movie, so everybody thinks everything's okay. Where are those children? And also, in the early 80s, people were saying, like after all that melee with the Atlanta child killings and the alleged, finding of the culprit, at least the person that's going to take the fall for it, they started promoting black people to move to Atlanta, Georgia. Now for me, being a 17, 18-year-old and people kidnapping black people, I was afraid at that time. That was the last place I would want to go to. But then it was in the 1980s, this move for black people to move back down south. Why? But they were. It's a trend for blacks, Americans, to move back down south. The ones that are from the south. And even, I would imagine those who aren't from the south, let's say they're from the Caribbean, many black people are moving back, back down south, away from the cities, from up north. The cities up north it didn't work out for them socially. So they're heading back home, so to speak. Why do they want them to go back down south? And why Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, at that? See, I think it's all tied in. They never got the killer of those children. And you notice the things that you hear about with Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, at that. A high number of homosexual men, black men. Why is this? Whatever what your preference is your business. But I'm just trying to make sense out of why a particular area that was known for initially of the killings of black children, and then now a mecca almost of male homosexuality. I don't know. I don't understand it. And I'm wondering where it fits in to the picture. I'm wondering what's being done to these people to make them become. I'm thinking also, I watched the video yesterday on this. I know I'm a little all over the place, but it's all about putting the dots together and trying to make sense out of all this. I personally think that everything is linked together somehow. Now, I was watching a movie, YouTube videos, because I was hearing a little bit about it. I don't have a TV, but sometimes you get little bits of the news, over YouTube with the commercials and things like that. This thing about this fried chicken sandwich, and that you had a man, I saw the video, a man climbing, it's a drive-through, It was a fast food chicken joint, you know, and he's fighting people inside the store, the people who are taking the orders. Well, it turns out over YouTube, it's like a whole new genre of watching people fight over a chicken sandwich. I would think, are you serious? But I saw it. And you know what else? All of them were black. You had black men fighting. You had black women fighting. Also, I noticed many of them were very overweight, too. So I don't think they're starving, okay? You have poor people in Africa and Asia, skin and bones, and you never see them be fighting each other for food. So here you have a bunch of fat people fighting over a sandwich, a chicken sandwich. Get a hamburger, whatever. Oh, and that's another thing about hamburgers lately. This other YouTuber noticed seemed to be a correlation between the killings, the mass killings, the shootings, and hamburgers. And it sounds silly, but the person's theory is that like Dylan Roof, the teen who went into a church, a black church, and shot about 9 or 11 people, and then the cops got him, but they brought him to a burger place to get food. This is a mass killer. They didn't shoot him to death. So it seems like that they choose who they want to shoot and who the authorities, who they want to shoot dead and who they want to keep alive. Someone just went in a church and shot them dead, and you're gonna bring them to a burger joint. It doesn't make any sense. And that all these other killings, something with burgers. And then they were suggesting that these people who are killing, that they work in codes. And was suggesting that Amber Geiger and how the name sounds almost like hamburger in the name, that the names are coded. That's the recent interpretation of some of these events. But either way, let me get back on track what I was saying now. So you have now over YouTube, you just type in chicken sandwich, and chicken sandwich and the word fighting, something like that, and you'll see a playlist of watching black people fighting in a fast food chicken joint. I kid you not. It was getting upsetting for me to watch. Why am I mentioning this? What could make people act like this? They're not starving people. Why would they fight for a sandwich? Why all the violence? Violence. It reminds me of junior high school. The girls that they show, the same type of girls I went to school with. I was afraid of junior high school. You have some crazy women, this rage that they have, and they're real big. Some of them they'd be, very heavy set. Why? Well, I'm wondering, like here in this Idaho, that I'm wondering whether they have satellites or those equipment that look like trees. They can make it look like a tree, but the apparatus is like inside. And it could be a camera. And they could zoom in on the family, relax and whatever. They could have underground tunnels, like what was mentioned in the kidnapping of those boys in Nebraska for this male sex prostitution. There were underground facilities. So I'm wondering the same thing. Are there technologies that are being focused on in oppressed neighborhoods? And most of these oppressed neighborhoods are black. It's just so intense. The rage is so intense. Now, people these days, there's more access to schools. You can learn things over the internet. So it's like we're not going forward, but backwards. Why is it that you have poor people of any background, any race in this country? I mean, the United States has, almost 400 million? You have poor people of every denomination. But you don't have that same type of savagery, of violence, of people killing their own neighbors. It's an intensity. And I'm wondering whether they're being targeted to become violent. Remember, early last year, I did that interview with Tony Rodriguez, and he said he was kidnapped. And he talked about what they call the 20 years and back. He was kidnapped from his home. They violated him sexually. They used him in sex parties of the elites. That was on the West Coast. And then they resold him to the government, he said. And then from there, they trained him to do a new task. See, that it's about taking innocents and trafficking them, reselling them, but they don't want the masses to know about it. So they're making, some of them are hiding behind, like, nonprofit organizations about the environment, and then to, like, have a hands-off certain areas. But these elites have access to those places. They also mention, I think they mentioned in the same movie, but this, I'm going to just say the name of this institution. I don't know what the acronym is, but we've all heard of it. UNICEF. UNICEF. They seem to be involved with children. They come across very humanitarian about children and stuff. And I don't know, I just get a bad feeling. See, I used to work, I used to work in the Caribbean also. And I worked at a utilities company. I did like administrative work. And I was doing well in the company. I was really happy to work there. And one day, my manager was asking, for us to donate money to UNICEF. But at that time, This was in the early 90s. And I didn't feel comfortable. I care very much about children and stuff like that. I care very much for the weak and vulnerable. But it was something that I heard about UNICEF. And it involved children. At that time, I don't really feel comfortable saying what it was, because I don't want to offend people. But it involved children. And because of that, I didn't want to promote that institution. I didn't want to promote UNICEF. So I politely said no. And then he came back to me and said, oh, if it's a money issue, if you can't afford to donate, because it's for every dollar you put in, they're going to double it or something like that, like 2 for 1. You put in 1, they put in 2. And he said, I'm willing to put it in for you, because we want the whole company. See, they wanted the whole company to be involved in this thing. But I declined. And because of that, all of a sudden, I get on their poo-poo list. The company started to mistreat me. He was angry because they were looking for 100% of the people to donate to this UNICEF, and that I double it. See, I feel if an institution wants to give money, you don't have to wait for someone to put in $1 and you put in 2. Put in what you want to put in. And so I no longer got a raise. And I was getting all bad reviews. Why is this? Why? See, this is what it's really about, I think. See, it's a control thing. They want to, in my opinion, because of this specific incident with UNICEF, who involves itself with children, that they go to other institutions. This was a utilities company, but it was I think partially government, but but it's utilities. And to be punished, to say no. So I'm wondering, hey, I'm sure I'm not that it wasn't the only company that was ever approached by UNICEF or something involving UNICEF, and to say, oh, the children. I don't know. So, where is this money really going? They say that what they're going to use it for. But somehow I feel that it's something that I question. Like even with the Clintons, they have an organization, and founded the Clinton Foundation, I think it's called. And somehow again, that they're tied in with children, and children from Haiti. And somehow that what the money was to be used for, that it didn't pan out. I think these dollars are being used for stealth operations globally, and maybe even in other planets. Because again, the person that I interviewed last year mentioned that there are colonies on different planets and moons. And then you need money to run a colony just starting out. You're going to need money. Where are they getting the money from? Where are all these kids missing? And that was another thing about these kids. Like in Idaho with this missing 411 German. The name of the child, at least one of them, was German name. And the guy that I interviewed last year, who's in charge of those those programs that he was in, up in Ceres, I think he said Ceres and the Moon, these German factions that broke away from Germany and started a colony in space. If you have a colony, you're going to be needing new blood. You can't have everybody intermarrying their relatives. You got to get new kids. I'm speculating, okay? So you go to a park and you find families and you know exactly what type of child you want. They could be doing that. I know it sounds very, very fanciful, but when you start interviewing people, listening to different videos on the subject, these kids have to be somewhere. And yet some are used in rituals and are murdered, but not all of them are murdered. So where are they going? And I think that's what it's all about. And I think all the melee that you see in the news today is a distractant. So we're watching black people fight and kill each other for a chicken sandwich. And all these killings now, a black lady in her home with her nephew, or I think the nephew was about 8 years old or 10 years old. And I think they were in the same room, and the lady gets shot. One bullet hit her and killed her. What is that even saying, that incident? Tatiana Jefferson. Really bizarre. Neighbor reports that the front door was open and calls for a wellness check. They said the lights are on, the door's open, and it was at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. It's early morning. So no one knows how to call someone's house. Hey, so-and-so, your door's open. The cops have know who lives in one house. They may not know her specifically, but get the phone number of the house, or just ring the front doorbell. Hello. Maybe it was just a hot day and she left the door open. She felt a safe neighborhood. Is this the only time that someone's door was open and a wellness check was done on them? Why did they go in there with such keenness of killing? Why? Well, this one YouTuber is suggesting that there's a code that you have people who do things of symbolism, and they hide behind codes, hide behind names of the victim or the killer. I don't know, but her interpretation of the event was really interesting, though. But still, what does this mean for citizens? Now, Texas, where that a Tatiana Jefferson was murdered, was in Texas. It's an open carry state, meaning that you can carry a firearm on you. And of course, you're going to have firearms in your home. So if anyone calls for anything to the police, what prevents them from repeating the same thing? They could just go in, they enter the person's house, the back door. Why they go through the back door? When the front was clearly open, just ring the bell. It's like all common sense goes out the window. So now, how does a neighbor handle a situation? They might be afraid to go out and check themselves. So, hey, let's just call the, police. Just have them check and make sure someone's okay. It could happen to anyone. And they can make any excuse to pull the trigger. I think it's to make us fearful. And it was right after the other case that happened in Texas. Oh, I forget the name. But that other thing that was Amber Geiger, who shot Botham Jean in his home, watching TV, eating, I think, ice cream. And some of the doors open, and the cop just comes right in. Again, protocol. That for whatever reason, protocol isn't being done. Why isn't it being done? And why does it seem to be done upon black people? Or are they just telling you what happens to just black people to make you feel like a victim? I think a lot of these things is to excite black people because they want black people to riot so they could usher in more laws that will be oppressing us. I think that's ultimately what they want to do. They want to take further control, and they usually start out with black people first. And then it trickles down, and then they get white people as well. But still, it's horrible. And again, some of these things could be done as a distraction of what they're doing behind the scenes. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was about a lot of things. And then now the main media isn't discussing it, even though it's newsworthy. And it involves children, minors, and they have access to different regions of the world. And it's like a network of people, and they might come across like humanitarian, and it's not humanitarian. How could you have someone in charge of the Amber Alert, and that person is involved with kidnapping Haitian children? It doesn't make sense. See, they use the same people, and they hope that you don't notice. Yeah, one thing with YouTube, that people are doing their own investigations and sharing what they find. They discuss about patterns, things that don't seem to make sense, but maybe it all does make sense. Could be a whole ring, kidnapping ring, 20-year and back ring, technologies. They could, the targeted individuals, people are being targeted for who knows what reasons. Who knows what reasons? One person I talked to about it suggests, oh, maybe it's just spirits, ghosts. So I don't believe in spookism. I don't believe in spookism. I believe in that there are technologies and people who plan and then they execute that plan against you. And they want you to think, oh, no, not after hearing on the internet there are all these technologies out there. All these technologies. They even have someone, a young guy, and he created what they call, it's a 3D printer. He created himself a gun, and they show it. They showed him putting it together. It was made out of this white plastic, and it was a firearm, and he shot it. And then these officials came and interviewed him, or I should say interrogated him, because something, this is also on YouTube. So you have laymen now who are getting information over the internet. They see the different trends that are happening in the country, and they want to protect themselves. So yes, you have technologies, but they want to keep you in the dark. They want you to think, oh, it's science fiction. Just start watching the new movies that are coming out. They're showing more technologies, more like these, what do you call them? Those part human, part machine. They're having more of that. And there's something else. Oh, yeah, this new movie, TV series supposed to be coming out. I forget the name. But it's about the super soldiers. Oh, we'll call it Jason Bourne series. Okay. Now the Jason Bourne movie series is now it's based on that. I think it's called Threadstone or Treadstone. But in essence, it's the super soldier program. They reprogram, they traumatize the individual and make him into killers. And so Hollywood it seems like an institution that is really telling you the secrets or clues. I don't think it's all made up. I think these are things that are actually going on. So, yeah, I said a mouthful. I just wanted to share these things, that these are the signs of the times. But no matter what they do to us, to grab onto your own humanity, learn to love yourself, love your families, and so maybe somehow to transform this evil world, to transform into something beautiful. Yeah, don't fall into the hype. Take care of your health. Don't eat that chicken. They could be putting stuff in the chicken. Remember what's that, Coca-Cola? They used to actually put cocaine in it, in the original recipe. Sometimes people put things in foods, and they may be targeting specific areas. See, behavior and things like this, it's not by accident. It is all by design, in my opinion. So, with that last note, take care of yourself. Learn to love yourself. Pamper yourself. Be kind to your pets and your children. Meditate. Just don't fall for what they really want you to do. They want you to go and harm people, but we're not going to do that. We're better than these people. We are humanity, and you uplift humanity through one person at a time, starting with self. So take care, guys, and you can comment below. Share this video, this audio, I should say, friends or family members. You can donate to my PayPal me account, and to do so, you just go to my channel, Spirit Journey, and you see on the top right banner of my channel the link to my PayPal me. You click on it and follow the prompts. I thank you in advance. So peace and joy to you guys. I hope you like this. This talk is designed to get you thinking and to realize there's more to what you see and hear. Okay? Take care, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day safely. And don't eat that chicken. Bye, guys.